Yeah, we are here. All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rami talking to you. We'll just wait a few seconds until the live stream is online 100% to be able to proceed this session. I'll start with a brief introductory. At first, that I'm very happy to be part of the second session of our live stream, or try to guide expat communities with the people who are moving to Finland or they are currently in Finland. We will be sharing our own experiences about different topics, about different subjects that they are important for each one of us. So simply one of the most important, let's take it back a bit backwards in saying that you move to Finland for different reasons, for sure. Some of them can move to Finland for relationships, whether married or love or any one of these reasons, or you move for work, you move for asylum seeking if it's an unfortunate situation in your country. Some people just decide to move to Finland for what you have heard about the country. And then for sure one of the most important reasons that people are moving to Finland is education. Now, when we're talking about education, before we start going to the topic deeper, I would like to introduce myself, my background, and also welcome Peter, my colleague, into this live stream. We are trying our best to reflect our experiences in living and studying in Finland to you guys. For sure, perhaps we are not covering every aspect, so if you do have any questions, please send it to us in the comment, and Christian in the back end there, he will be helping us to organizing the comments. So let's start with who I am. So my name is Rami. Personally, I just got my fourth nationality 2 weeks ago. One of them is Finnish, so I have lived in Finland for about, I would say 10, 11 years. I moved to Finland in 2007. I graduated from Metropolia University in the field of environmental engineer, specialized in renewable energy, and I was working, studying, doing different activities during my education. Then I studied shortly in Aalto University, my master's degree, before moving to London, and after that I finalized my sustainable energy engineering master degree program in KTH, the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm, also in the transformation of energy technologies. So my experience in the education with Finland come from I have studied open studies, and after that I became a full-time student. I was working during my studies. I continued I studied previously physics in Syria before moving to Finland. The reason why I moved to Finland, it's another topic that we will be discussing in another live stream. You might ask where I am originally from. Personally, I am from Palestine originally, and also I'm Jordanian. I lived in Syria for a while. I lived in Finland, and I'm currently living in Sweden. This live stream will be hosted by Globuzzer, the social network for expats and international students. And I will give the mic now for Peter to introduce himself for the audience. So Peter, please go ahead. Who are you?
Thank you, Rami. So my name is Peter. Those who have watched the previous live stream might remember my face. For those who haven't, hi. I'm from Slovakia originally. Natively, I'm Hungarian speaker, and I moved to Finland about 8 years ago. And I first studied back in my home country after graduating from high school. I studied building technology, and after moving to Finland when I was about 19 years old, I studied agriculture in a vocational school, which gave me a really good foundation in the Finnish language, because the school was in completely Finnish language. So then I started studying in Haga-Helia University of Applied Sciences, where I study international tourism, and from there I studied a double degree in University of Lincoln as a double degree student, international tourism management for 1 year, and then I returned to Finland because of the corona a bit earlier from my studies, but I have graduated from that school successfully, and I'm still waiting for my graduation in December from Haga-Helia.
All right, thank you, Peter. So let's go to perhaps the first question is like, why would you choose Finland for education? For sure, like there are many countries that they have good educational system and so on. That question we can both answer it from both different backgrounds, but for sure I can throw it to you, Peter, at first and say like, well, what drove you to study in Finland in the first to go?
Oh well, that's a good question. I think Finland is really famous, and it has the infame of the quality education, especially in higher education, and that was one of the moving forces that kind of led me to study. And also career-wise, it is important, especially for foreigners, because as a foreigner in Finland it is by itself difficult to get a job, so you have to kind of raise the competence level in order to get a job. And I'm also really interested in the field, and I believe that I have improved a lot during my studies, not just professionally, but as a person as well.
All right. For me, more or less, well, studying in Finland, as I mentioned, it depends about why you initially moved to the country. If you are outside of Finland and deciding to move to Finland for education, then there are for sure like some parameters to consider at first, or facts that you need to list, or checkpoints that you need to check to be able to find the right conclusion about your moving to study in Finland. Well, we know. As a fact, Finland is one of the top university, in the top of the educational system in the world. Also, it has a number of universities that ranked among the 100 or the 200 top universities in the global universities ranking. Also, like usually when you are moving to Finland for education, you are categorized whether exchange students, you are moving to start your master's degree or for your PhD research. And for sure, as my studies, if you are within EU, then you are moving. You can also move to proceed with your bachelor degree from to start with. I had also some friends who comes from the US, for example. They heard about Finland and their education system, also from China and Japan, and they moved specifically for the good, let's say, legacy about the educational system in Finland. Now, also, it's very important to understand your plans after moving to Finland. That's also very important aspect that the people focusing on when they are choosing Finland to proceed their to decide about proceeding their education in Finland. What does that mean? It means like the possibilities perhaps to stay in the country, the possibilities, for example, to work afterwards, the possibilities of proceeding your higher degree after you're finishing your studies, or also, for example, the possibilities when you are going back to your country to find a suitable job or a suitable position after holding the Finnish university certificate. This is one of the reasons, but for sure there's many that we can list. For sure, the safety of the country. The benefits that the education system allows you to have during your education in Finland. We are talking about a free education for Europeans or EU students in Finland. So that's a very tempting aspect for the students in general. For sure, we can talk about the housing system. That sometimes, for example, sometimes you might have very big difficulties to find a house for you as a student when you are moving abroad. Finland is supporting, for example, the housing or the accommodating the international students in Finland. Number of other aspects, for sure, I might miss, but I can also leave it for Peter a bit, and I will recall some while he's listing them. So what other benefits would drive a student to practically study in Finland?
Oh, well, I think I've mentioned before the quality of the education, but aside from that, there is plenty of benefits students are able to, take advantage of when they are studying. I think one of the best of these are the support of the student associations, and also the alumni support. So the universities aim to kind of support their students throughout the studies as well as after, and there is plenty of support in terms of employment once you graduated, and in terms of internships. So you can get lots of hands-on experience while you're studying, and other benefits. I think we can consider something like the student cafeterias and food in the canteens in the universities, which I think some university canteens have better food than others. I have visited in two canteens, and one of them was literally the difference was really big between the two. Usually these meals are really cheap, so you can have a complete meal for 260, around that range, 260 euros.
But it is more a survivor mode meals. I mean, it has the full. I can't remember, or I'm not sure if it has changed since 2007, 2008. But the food at that time, to be honest, wasn't not in the best quality, but has the nutritions that you would need. You can eat almost as much as you want. You can fill salad as much as you want. The good thing about the food here, it was about the price. So it's almost 20% from any food you can find outside the campuses. For example, in Sweden here, it's really ridiculous. It was the food price is as much as the restaurants outside the campus, or almost equivalent to it. So it was a bit annoying. But also you can cook at home and bring your own food to heat it up with the microwave. So that's I would say good, but the taste, I would not, if you are after the taste, it's not the best, but if you are after the economy, as most of the students are, then it's a very good option.
It is. Yeah, so other benefits, students get cheap public transport tickets.
Is it 50%? Right.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But nowadays it's been lately the public transport prices have been going up in general over here. So I would believe that even though it's you get sale from that price, it's still nowadays raising the prices. So I guess it could be also explained by the remote studies and remote working, so they kind of have to raise the prices to stay competent. Yeah, also students get a lot of discounts in clothing stores, accessories. You can apply.
Online, like laptops. Yeah.
Yeah. Also you can apply there as, I'm not gonna mention the name of the convenience store chain in Finland, but you can apply for student. Was it like a card?
Yeah.
Where you can get it, and you can get monthly like €5 extra, which you can like spend for food and anything you basically want from the shop. I think it do not apply for alcohol and tobacco products, but otherwise it, yeah.
Well, that will be in another topic. But let's go to the for example, one of the most important aspects where perhaps people might ask about. Well, we can put them in three big blocks, and we can answer them one by one. One of them is the visas for study in Finland. The second one is the work while you are studying, and then the third one is the tuitions or the fees that you are need to pay, for example, for the universities if you are studying in Finland. Shall we start with the visas? Actually, that would make a bit more sense. So we can go with the visas, then the fees, and then the work. What type of visas, based on what you know, Peter, that an EU students would require, or a non-EU student would require? I have some knowledge for sure. I can jump in with it, but I can start with you, Peter, and then I support you there. Go ahead.
Okay, so basically, students can apply for a student visa, but in that case, students are not eligible for a student aid of any kind from Kela. So for that, you have to have certain kind of criteria that so you would be eligible for the student support, student aid. With EU students who come from inside the EU and economic area, those students usually have to have enough money to support themselves, which is, I think, if I remember right, it ranges about €7,000 per academic year.
But that's for the outside EU and the Nordic countries.
Oh.
Yeah. For the students who are inside EU countries, they don't need let's say certification of since actually they are eligible to have the student benefits and funds from Kela. And by the way, what is Kela? It's kind of the social office or social association for that support different different type of different categories of people, whether the unemployment or the housing or the students. I would say the social office, I would call it in that sense. So if you are from EU or from the EEA, I guess EEAU, I can't remember it. EEA. Sorry, thank you for jumping in there. And if you are from the Nordics, Switzerland, then you don't need to prove that financial certificate that you are. That it's about $7,000 to $8,000. I would say $8,000. You are actually also eligible for student benefits while you are studying in Finland. There are some other proofs and papers that you need to bring with you when you are coming to study if you are within EU, that you can find it simply on the students. Usually the university website can have more clear idea about it. But if you are outside the EU or the EEA, then here you need to prove of, actually you have a couple of steps you need to follow. One of them is to have a valid visa, or approved visa from the embassy in your country. You have to have health insurance. You have to have a proof of $7,000 coverage living expenses while you are living in Finland. But the good news here we will bring on the table is that you are eligible to work for 25 hours a week as maximum. But that's the second topic. I would like to confirm this aspect about the visa. How easy really to get the visa, what type of visas you can get. We are not the most expert to go into the very little details, but the general knowledge is that if you are in EU countries, you don't need any visas for education in Finland, but you need to register yourself to the police when you are studying more than 3 or 4 months in Finland. You're eligible for student benefits, and also if you are outside EU, then you have to have the valid visa from the embassy before you move in, before you be able to move to Finland. Health insurance and a yearly statement that you do have around 7,000 euros to support yourself, living expenses during your life in Finland. Sometimes, if you are actually from doing your research or PhD studies, you don't need any of these ones. Even if you are outside the EU, you need for sure the visas and the work certificate, because PhD or research program in Nordics, it's more kind of work than really studies. So actually you're coming for a project where you can get paid also. And then your salary will back up your living expenses and also the other aspects that normal students would require fees coming from outside EU. Peter, do you have anything to add here?
I have a bit different information from what you have pitched over here, but I don't know, either of us can be right or wrong about this, but according to my information, the international students from EU countries are not eligible for Finnish state study support if their studying is the only reason why they come to Finland.
You mean the outside EU or inside EU?
From inside the EU countries.
All right. Here you are. I'm reading directly from also from Kila website. Just give me 1 second. Here, current foreign assessment medicine cost. If you come to Finland from some other country, no, that's other. If you come to Finland from no, that's another EU. If you come from Finland from another EU or EEA country or Switzerland in order to study here, your stay in Finland is usually considered as temporary. And that your country of origin is responsible for the social security benefits. All right, yes, you are right, Peter. I actually remember now when we had also some entrants from other universities from Europe. Usually the university actually provide you with the benefits while you are moving to the other country, which means like your country provide you with the benefits when you are coming to Finland, which is anyway it's a good compensation, I would say. So in the end of the day, you have some backup. Sometimes if you are coming with the Erasmus program, then the Erasmus have you a budget or fund for your education in Finland. Yeah, I missed that one. I confused between if Finland would give you the social security benefits if you are from EU, or if you if you are coming from outside.
Yes, I understand it's confusing because it is actually very easy to identify if you have trouble with knowing that am I eligible for this or not, it's very simple. You just look at your residence permit and you see if it's temporary, you are not eligible for it. If it's permanent, you are eligible for it. Now and then you can go on the website to see. I don't remember what are the criteria for the permanent residence permit versus the temporary residence permit, but we can perhaps talk about that another day.
For sure. Let's go to the let me see if there's any question on the comment so we can answer before we can move forward. You may get benefits here. How much do you have to pay for the cost of living per month? We mentioned that if you are talking about in general, that how much it would cost you to live in Finland per month. Well, that depends really. I always worked and studied. So, but simply when you are talking about accommodation, it costs you around between. Peter, you can correct me because that was a couple of years ago, or many years ago in Finland. So it was between 250 up to 450 the accommodation costs in HOAS, which is the housing accommodation for students. There was studios if you are coming with your couple or with your family. The food, I would assume around 8 to 10 euros a day. Well, I would say 8 euros a day. That would be sufficient for you to live in Finland. And I would say 10 euros including everything with the transportation and food, and but not the living. And for sure that depends about like your weekend, if you are more into partying and fun, and that's not really very cheap here in Finland. But for a normal student life, I would say it's around 10 euros, 12 euros, perhaps more or less. If you cook at home, if you eat outside, that also would make a very big difference. In general, Finland is not cheap country. It's expensive country. But I would say in the student life, when you are living inside of the student housing, eating as a student from the student restaurants, if you don't have too much activities outside, you can survive with a lower budget, but not as comparing to other countries, like let's say like the lower cost living countries. But then if you really enjoy the maximum of living in Finland, then I would consider it as expensive to live in Finland. But for sure, you are allowed to work, and you sometimes entitled to get some benefits. We'll be talking also the exceptions of you getting student benefits. But Peter, you are a more fresh student than me in Finland.
Yeah.
What is usually?
I do not have really experience in the student housing because I guess I'm more able to talk about if you opt to go with a private housing, and it is quite a bit more expensive than what you would get from the student housing. And I was living in Porvoo for the time I was studying, so in the midtown you are looking at about 600 euros per month for the rent. And that sometimes maybe if you really catch a good deal, you can get for the price that includes water and electricity. But well, I had to make my own electricity contract, and of course own internet connection contract. But otherwise, yeah, about 600, 650, sometimes 700. And yeah, if you wanna indulge, of course, you have to look more deeper in your pocket, and if you want to, fine dine every now and then yeah, it's quite expensive. But
Like an average, how much now is an average lunch outside in restaurants in Finland? I would say is around. I remember it's around 12 euros. to 15 euros.
I would say it's more expensive. If you want to go to some really fine restaurant, you're looking at 50 to 80 bucks. And if you go to like more like a chain type of restaurant, not quite of a fast food restaurant, but a chain, then about 20, 25. So yeah.
All right. So we see we don't have other questions. We can move on to other aspects. We will talk about actually the not about the work still, but how can you be qualified for financial aid? Based on the also Kila website here, if you do have a continuous, if you could change your visa status, which you can if you get like a permanent job, or practically if you got permanent residence permit for any reason inside Finland or in other EU countries, then you are eligible for the financial aid. Now, how can you do that? The reason behind that, I would say, because Finland is trying to really capture you as much as possible to keep you in Finland. I'm not sure how successful they are with that, but they're trying to keep you to benefit from your studies after after you finish your education. Sometimes it works, sometimes not, whether with research projects, some work, but mostly like in most of my friend cases was like they jumped into into the B status or the work status in that sense. Well, in case of you got into the, like, let's say, relationship also with an EU, then that also could be one of the options. If you somehow have a full-time job during your studies or part-time jobs more than change your status from study to work, then you are eligible for a student benefit. Also, if somehow they allowed you to get the permanent student, permanent living in Finland, then you are also eligible for the student benefit in Finland.
Sorry, that usually often happens if you are a married couple. So on the basis of marriage, you can obtain a permanent residence permit.
All right, and thank you, Peter, for that. The other thing is like, what the second part will be the work in Finland while you are studying. What is the maximum allowance for you to work while you are studying? How easy actually to do that? And if you are from EU, what is the work permit for you per week? So you can go, Peter, if you do have an answer. Otherwise, I would go for it also.
Oh well, how easy it is doable. You can do it. I done it. So was it? I think it was 25 hours.
25 hours.
25 hours a week. You are allowed to work.
Usually, student work is about the minimum average is like 10 euros per hour. So you are talking about 250 euros a week. You can have a bit more. So practically around 1,200 euros if you work in a 25 hours a week. Let's say if you are an international student.
Yeah.
And that would be sufficient actually to cover almost all your costs in Finland, if you really can balance between work and studies.
If you're ready to sleep on the floor, maybe, yeah.
I'm saying if you are, let's say, living in HOAS and you're eating,
definitely.
then that would be sufficient. And for me, it was really easy. The education in Finland itself, it's easy. I was very surprised that's easy. That easy. I mean, I expected high rank education would be really much more difficult, but in fact, it's very easy, very flexible. You can jump from one program to another, take other courses, and so on. So I was working more than really studying, and I could get out with my degree, I would say, smoothly. But let's say for the EU here, they say like the average of at least 10 hours per week. You can get financial aid if you are employed in Finland for at least 4 months with an average of at least 10 hours of work per week, based on what Kela says, if you are from EU countries. Now, one of the most important advice I would give also for the people to learn the language, the moment really they would put their foot on in the country, don't wait really until until like the second or the third year. Take some courses. The university also supports sometimes language courses. Sometimes they are compulsory, actually, the basics. So take it seriously. It will help you a lot to have work afterwards. I think we covered that well, Peter.
Yeah, if I can still add that, yeah, you were right about the Finnish language course, because at least where I was in the University of Applied Sciences, well, we will discuss about that in a second. It's if you are an international group studying, and there are Finnish people sometimes as well, not just international students. So for the Finnish people, it's compulsory to study Swedish in university. Well, basically on every single educational level in Finland, including university and University of Applied Sciences. And for the international people, they are usually get Finnish language basics 1 and 2 to study. That happens in the first 2 semesters of the university. So yeah, you were right about that.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Peter. And we'll go to the one aspect we did not mention perhaps, is that one of the most important thing that you have a free internet roaming almost in all train stations and universities, other universities around Europe. You know that there's Indrom, Peter. I think it's called Indrom, or I can't remember if it's the correct one. Is the free internet of students in all Europe. Not inside, in some most important stations, for example, train stations, airports, universities, some libraries, so you can get the free internet also. That's a very cool stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sometimes, very often when you use internet in your campuses, you can use your student ID and the password to sign into your own to use the better internet, and then you can also use the guest Wi-Fi.
Right. If we divide some cities in Finland with universities, we have Helsinki, which has the most important universities. We are talking about Aalto University, Helsinki University, and I studied personally in Metropolia, the University of Applied Sciences, and also there's Haaga-Helia, and I remember there was Arcada and Omnia for more kind of vocational studies. But the big universities in Helsinki was Aalto, Helsinki University, Metropolia, and Haaga-Helia. Then we do have the other city for students is Lappeenranta, and also you can go a bit farther to Eastern European University, what was it? Sorry.
University of Eastern Finland.
Yeah, University of Eastern Finland. Then we go a bit into Oulu. Oulu has University of Oulu. Also, we have Turku, which is has like a high percentage of Swedish-speaking population. It has University of Turku and Åbo Academy University, and then we have Tampere University. So these ones are the one which I can also recall, or my friends also studying in. For sure, if you want to, if you are applying for studies in the northern universities, in my opinion, you might have much chance to get visas or like studies places than if you are applying in the south in Helsinki. The competition is much higher in Helsinki, but on the other hand, it's more international. So there are really much more, I would say, English-speaking courses in the universities of Helsinki. There are more programs taught in English. Also, the atmosphere is more international in Finland, which I would consider, I would say, maybe 1/3 of the population, if not more, is living inside of Helsinki region. What about you? Studied in Porvoo, or you live in Porvoo and you studied in Helsinki, right?
No, I lived in Porvoo and studied in Porvoo.
Is there Haaga-Helia in Porvoo?
Sorry?
You studied in Haaga-Helia or not?
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
Is there Haaga-Helia campus in Porvoo?
Yeah, there is Haaga-Helia campus in Porvoo. There is international business, visual marketing, international tourism, and some other degree programs as well. International tourism is actually also, it is 2 classes, so it's 1 Finnish class and 1 international class, and we do cooperate every now and then with the 2 classes, so it's really good. There is also, for those who are interested, there is international tourism taught in Rovaniemi, University of Lapland, which is very intriguing for those people in Finland who want to specialize on Nordic tourism. And the university is really stresses really tries to educate people to the Lapland tourism, the kind of Arctic tourism, which is very. I think it's very interesting. I wanted to go there, but in the end I didn't. It would have been too far and everything.
It would be too cold. Well, there you might find also what they call it, Papa Noel. What's in English actually?
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus, yeah.
I've been to the village twice or 3 times, I think. Yeah.
All right, so basically we covered almost everything we could think about, but for sure now, or let's say in our template for this live stream, let's go to a random question, Peter. Shoot if you do have any question for me. I remembered something about open universities or transferring credits from outside.
Yeah, that was actually something I wanted to ask you, that since you have studies completed in universities that are outside Finland, all right? Have you had any experiences in making your diplomas accepted in Finland as well, or maybe Sweden?
It has been really strange. I will go back to what I proposed to talk about, and I will answer your question. So, when I moved to Finland, my English was not really in the correct level, almost not being able to speak good English. My Finnish was for sure into the 0. I managed to learn Finnish much faster than English. Perhaps that helped me because of my ability of my skills in the English language was not in the good level to communicate. But I studied so what is the option at that time? Should I work or should I study? My mind is more oriented toward or academic mindset. So I decided to study. What is the option was for me is I found out that actually you can study in the open universities. Now, open universities means, or open studies means like you are going into a program exactly as if you are a student, but the only difference, you don't get paid or you don't get benefits, and you pay for the university. So the paying for the university here made me, I was working on the side. Then I passed all the courses I have took in the as open studies. I was very lucky. Before they changed the law, there was actually you pay only 200 euros and you are allowed to take as much courses as you want. So per semester you pay 200 euros and you take as much courses as you want if you live in Finland. I'm not sure if it was for the international students or not. So I was taking, usually you take 5-6 courses a semester, so I was taking up to 10 courses. So I was really greedy, but I passed them. I passed most of them out, maybe out of 10, I was passing 9 with good grades. My English skills went in a very good level. I collected all that credits. So then after the next year, they changed the law, so you are allowed to take, each credit costs 10 euros. So there's no 200 euros per semester. I hope they did not change the law because of me, but it was a bit more expensive for sure. Then I tried to apply for the university. There was the English requirement, certificate requirement, IELTS or TOEFL. Just to pause here, I would always advise to go with IELTS, and I would advise you to go to Estonia. There are more available spots for this certificate. Then simply I done it. I have been really busy during that time, so I missed that they have changed the requirement from, I believe it was 6 to 6.5. So I missed my second year of being official student, but I carried on with my open university. The funny thing is, like, also in the fourth year, which is my final year, all my teachers, professors, they were really very supportive. They even wrote for the student office that we should put this person on board, but for sure bureaucracy always wins. So I had to get the correct English certificate. I got it. During that time, I was in the Finnish army, so I actually got the citizenship. So I was invited to graduate from Finland from the school and make the speech for our program. I was called from there, actually from the military base, to do my graduation ceremony. So back to the subject is, like, you can always make open studies. It will be counted, it will be transferred once you are becoming a student, right? It will cost you, but if you are working, can compensate it. You cannot get benefit while you are doing open university, open studies, except if they change the laws nowadays. The other part of the question is about the certificate of the certificate of the Universities of Applied Sciences in Finland and outside Finland. For example, Metropolia and Haaga-Helia, if you want to study in Aalto or Helsinki University. My experience was that I applied for 4 universities. I was in 1 in Finland and 3 outside Finland. They are the top universities in Europe and actually in the world ranking also. So there was Aalto University, NTNU in Norway, KTH and DTU, KTH in Sweden and DTU in Denmark. I was accepted in the 3 universities. The only one which I was not accepted was in Aalto. So I had to move out, to start my journey again in another country. Now, you see all of these universities, they have almost the same rank. So I was not really expected to be accepted in any of them because I was focusing on work more than really studies. But I found out that since you have studied in a very respectful university in English, then in that sense, I was accepted at KTH. Or perhaps my grades were good. I don't know really the real reason, but I would say it is recognized as a good certificate that you can proceed with for your higher education. So any other things before we are finalizing the live stream, Peter? What else randomly you would like to ask or shoot here in this meeting?
Well, I think for those, it is also important to mention for those people who are not familiar how are the universities in Finland. it's important to know that there is a difference between universities and University of Applied Sciences, and when you choose where you want to go, you also want to take these aspects into consideration as well. Because if you opt to go to a University of Applied Sciences, your studies are going to be much more hands-on and practical than as opposed to a university where the tone is more like on the actual academic aspect of the whatever you're studying, whatever subject you're studying. So for those who ever wonder what's the difference between the two, there is the answer.
Well, my comment on it also, Peter, is very simple. If you are going, in my opinion, if you are going academic, following up masters and PhD or educational, go always to the university. It's much more difficult to get into there, but their certificates usually is more recognized and more appreciated. If you want to get to work life much faster, then go with the University of Applied Sciences. Is very appreciated. They are very appreciated in Finland, and they are very recognized in the work market. Now, the only difference also, if you would like to continue, it might be a bit more difficult, not impossible. I had the University of Applied Sciences and carried on my master's, but more difficult if you are from University of Applied Sciences against a normal university. We have one question we can ask. We can answer before I have something I would like to also discuss with you better here in the meeting here. Is it difficult for an international student to find a job in Finland? Any website to search or any tips to apply? Well, I will try to be in the middle. So I'll be informative and I'll be also reflecting life experience. Now, informative, it's not impossible for you as international students to get a job. The quality of the job is not really the highest. I would always suggest if you are an international student, except if you are becoming a permanent citizen or permanent residence, or if you speak fluently Finnish. But usually we are talking about basic type of jobs, whether in restaurants and in post office and something like that, a side job. After study, you might get like some jobs for international companies, for example. Sometimes the universities organize some work fairs for that. For the website, well, at first I would recommend the Skill Scanner, since it's advertising almost most of the jobs that they are listed for English speakers. There are sometimes in the university portals, there are some job listing also there. You can find in LinkedIn for sure. Usually the best way in Finland is to send an email. After 3 days, try to give them a call. That's the best way to really get a job in Finland. Learn the language, be brave to really present yourself in that sense. Now, after the work in Finland, after your studies, work, I will reflect my experience. Finland trying the government, they try their best to really to keep you, but personally, with my life experiences, they are not very successful with that. Even if you learn the language, if you are doing your best, it's not very easy to get a job in Finland if you are with an international background, except from specific countries, from specific needs, from specific programs. I would say the most needed one would be engineering and IT. That's the things which they are focusing on in Finland, and for sure they would prioritize locals over the internationals. But if you have a spot empty there, you will be lucky. we have friends that they have been working in Finland. I have been working in Finland also in many projects, but mostly they are international, European Union projects and so on, international companies. But I would say it's not very easy, to be honest, to get to continue with work in Finland, but it's not impossible. It depends on a couple of factors, but I guess you got the point of it. But Peter, there's another question from Christian.
Yes.
How do you see teachers being in Finland? Do they see maybe? I was going to talk about the formality, but I will throw this to you, Peter. You answer it, and I will comment on it.
Okay, yeah. So this is an interesting topic. So where I come from, I was raised by my teachers and by my peers to be very formal with teachers and always have to, the proper pronouns, the Mr. or Doctor or Miss or whatever their education was, engineers or doctors or whoever was your professor, you always have to address them accordingly. And when I came to Finland, it was just like when you are in school, you are kind of like trying to push you to have more of a friendly relationship with a teacher. I think it's a good thing, especially in elementary school and high school, because some kids, for example, they have hard time to be open with the teachers if there is some problems at their home going on, and there is no one who they can talk with. But if the teachers are friendly with the kids and they can build up this kind of friendly relationship between the two, they are more open to discuss about issues they have in. But that's for more like...
What's your opinion?
Oh wow, my opinion.
If I will give you the question is like, directly, would you go with a formal relation with the professors? As I'm talking about the university, for sure, primary and elementary, it's different, or elementary schools. But in university, what would be your opinion? I'll give mine, don't worry.
My opinion is that hierarchies are important, and they are for a reason. And I believe that it teaches people to I don't know even how to say this, but to
discipline.
Yeah, discipline. Exactly. That's exactly the word I was looking for.
Well, I'll give my opinion as like, personally, I was really shocked with actually the informality in Finland in general. I'm not saying it was good or bad, but for me, I lived in Europe for around 15 years. I could not overcome it until now. And it will cause you trouble when you are going outside Finland again. So, for example, now I'm communicating with some institutions back home. I cannot really write a correct email anymore. So, like I wrote an email, for example, dear, and I try to be polite, even like dear Dr. Peter, for example, and then the guy answered me, dear respectful, it's different language, dear respectful engineer Rami. So I was like, oh my god, so I could not really know how to to answer this anymore. In Finland, yeah, simply if you are a professor with even a Nobel Prize or like having a like really high rank educational heritage or academic heritage, then I can simply call you Peter. But also that comes from the culture. Finnish people, they call their families like with their names, like their father. They don't call them father, they would call them like by their name, let's say Peter. I could like for sure, always you have to understand the culture from their perspective, not from yours. So I understand their culture. I tried my best to be really informal, the only way I could break the formality problem issue here, or dilemma, is like when I become a friend with a professor. So we're going out for a trip, or we are going for a coffee, or sometimes actually in our graduation we went to a bar and to a club, for example. Well, I don't drink myself, but my friends in that sense. But the idea is like at that time you start to break that ice between you and the professors. But until now, if I'm contacting, I cannot call a professor, hey, hello, Peter, how are you doing? You know, but in another aspect, well, I will put another way, because Christian also asked another questions. So to shift it a bit about the teachers in universities in Finland, how they teach. There are two types of Finnish teachers, or let's say teachers in Finnish universities. They are the ones who they are being outside Finland, and the ones who have never been outside Finland. And the difference is really huge. So the best teachers for me, that they are the Finnish teachers that they have been living abroad, whether projects or studying or teaching abroad. They have a very nice mixture. So they are really confident. You can discuss with them. They can really transfer the knowledge to you much smoother. While I had difficulties with Finnish teachers that they never been outside Finland. They had difficulties to really interact with you in English, and they had difficulties also to, they feel shy a bit, like you feel that they don't want to really, they want to get rid of from you, and they're too much honest. Like, for example, if I tell you how do I do this, he does not say I will really look for it. He says I don't know. And usually you don't say these ones. While you see the diplomatic or the political way for teachers who have been abroad, much obvious in that sense. But now when there start to be mixed between international teachers or professors and Finnish professors, I believe the quality of education becomes much higher and better. What do you think, Peter? Have you faced that situation before?
Oh yeah. I think teachers who have been outside their own country, outside Finland, they can also understand more what we have been previously talking about. That if we address them formally, then they know that okay, in your culture, teachers have the authority over the students more, so it's easier for them to adjust to the students and to talk with them. So I absolutely agree with that.
All right, so I guess we will just have a quick look into the questions, if there is any. I see there is no any comments. So the best way is to wrap up this live stream. We covered, for the people who haven't been with us from the beginning, we covered the educational life and the educational system in Finland from different aspects: visas, life, students' life, work permit, if you are from EU, from outside EU, the education system inside, top universities in Finland, open universities, and also we covered even the educational techniques, some like in the end of this live stream. I would like to remind that we will be editing this video and releasing it on Globuzzer YouTube channel. And also I would like to mention that you can still comment on this live stream, and we'll be able to add these answers in our articles that, for example, listed there. We will be very happy to have you also as part of our expat community. You can join for free at globuzzer.com. Just you need to choose Helsinki section or Finland section, where you can find tons of articles about the expat life, anything you would like to know about Finland. You'll find also Peter and Christian there to help you with the questions. You can always, after this meeting, as I mentioned, you can find it edited version of it in YouTube, or you can go back to see the topics that we have talked about during this meeting. Thank you, Peter, for putting me on board for this live stream. Thank you for being with us at our Globuzzer channel also and group. I would like to thank Christian there also for organizing the comments and the live stream in general. And I would like to wish you, for all of you guys, a great evening, and hopefully that this was beneficial for all of you, and you are welcome to Finland also for studies or for any other reasons. I am Rami. You can find me there if you do have any questions, and Peter, my colleague there from Globuzzer. Peter, you can say the final word and end up the call.
Of course, yeah. Thank you too for being with us and sharing your professional experiences and what you have been through. And it was truly educational. And of course, for the viewers who are watching this video now or later, I urge you to also leave a comment in the comment section and tell us what you would like to hear about in the next live stream, and I suppose we can arrange anything what you want to know more about, and we can arrange somebody who also knows to talk about and share their experiences. So don't hesitate to comment and share the video with fellow people who are in a need for help in terms of studies or education, or they don't know how to begin. So yeah.
All right. Thank you guys, and I wish you then a great evening.
Thank you. Bye.